NASCAR's elimination race at the Charlotte Roval came down to the wire. Let's break it down. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Kyle Larson pads his playoff points lead. Tyler Reddick and Joey Logano battle for the final transfer spot. So much to get to today, but first I want to tell you about Smokin' Ugly's TG Series Portable Grill. A triple threat in the world of outdoor cooking. The TG Portable Charcoal Grill lets barbecue masters of all levels up their culinary game no matter where they are. It's a grill, perfect for searing meat and vegetables. Swap out the grate for a low-carbon steel plate, now it's a griddle. And then with just a slight adjustment, it becomes a de facto wood-fired pizza oven. Made to travel easy, the TG boasts a compact design but doesn't give up any functionality. Click the link down below to learn more. Whether you're picnicking, camping, tailgating, hiking, you name it, the TG is your perfect companion. Now, before y'all get to cooking, thanks to Smokin' Ugly, let's talk about how Kyle Larson cooked the field in Stage 3. Believe me, we'll get to the points. We'll put this race on the Groovy Gauge at the end. But first and foremost, Kyle Larson with his series-leading 6th win of the season. He was so fast that he short pit at the end of Stage 1 and still cycled into the top 5. Earned stage points anyways. He even earned stage points in Stage 2. Kyle Larson really fast once again. His second career Roval win first came in 2021. Lee Diffie made a great point on the broadcast. He won the championship that year. Can Kyle Larson go on to do the same here in 2024? I think he's got a great shot. We'll look at the points in a moment. 5 more playoff points earned today means Larson is 33 points above the cut line. For the round of 8, that's a huge margin. And remember what tracks are coming up. Las Vegas, Kyle Larson won at Las Vegas in the spring, swept the stages there if I remember correctly. Then Homestead, Kyle Larson may be the fastest driver in Cup at Homestead Miami Speedway. Then Martinsville, Larson's won there as well. He's got a huge cushion, some great tracks lining up. It's good to be a Kyle Larson fan right now. Honestly, he kind of stunk up the show there towards the end. Good thing the playoff cut line gave us lots to talk about. Real quick look at the top 15 finishers. Larson gets the win. Christopher Bell was the only other driver in the same zip code as the 5. He finishes a close second. A distant third for William Byron. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but last week, top 3 in my power rankings in order: Larson, Bell, Byron. In that order. Safe to say I nailed it. I did not have Austin Cindric 4th in my power rankings. More on him in a moment. Really strong effort from the 2 team today. Just wasn't quite enough. Top 5 for Chase Elliott, 2-time Roval winner, I believe, also earned the second most stage points today as well. Then you've got the ringers, AJ Allmendinger, Shane Van Gisbergen, both had top 5 speed today. Allmendinger made an extra pit stop in Stage 3. I thought that was interesting, though he charged through the field late. SVG got spun at one point. Kind of a weird incident. I know Carson Hocevar didn't make any friends out there today, though I felt this was probably the least egregious offense. Yeah, he dove in there late, but SVG took a very wide arc, kind of came down across the 77's nose. Hocevar was to blame for a couple incidents today. I'm not sure he was fully to blame for this one. That put SVG behind. He still drove up to the top 10. Good finish for the 2 road course superstars. Then you got Logano 8th, Bubba Wallace 9th, Ryan Blaney 10th. All 3 Penske Fords finished top 10 today. We'll touch on Reddick in a moment. I mentioned Carson Hocevar. When he wasn't driving into people, he was really fast. 12th for the 77. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Michael McDowell, solid top 15 effort. Those are your top finishers. Now let's focus on the playoffs, because this was Elimination Sunday in Charlotte. The top 12 cut down to the Elite 8. Where should we start? I guess we'll start with Tyler Reddick versus Joey Logano. My big takeaway today is that the regular season matters. I know a lot of fans clamor for the original chase. This is why I'm not a fan of the original chase. The regular season matters way more today than it did 10, 15 years ago. That's just a fact. Tyler Reddick won the regular season championship. He put together an extraordinarily consistent 28 weeks, most top 10s in the series by far, narrowly won the regular season title. That earned him 15 playoff points, which carry through every round of the postseason. Compare that to Joey Logano, who had an unusually inconsistent regular season. Even after today, I think he has 10 top 10 finishes on the season. Reddick, Bell have double that. Logano finished outside the top 10 in points at the end of the regular season, earned 0 playoff points. 15 bonus for Reddick, 0 for Logano. That was the difference today. Shoot, I think if Tyler Reddick finished second in the regular season championship, he would get 10 playoff points. That would have been the difference today. That's how close the bubble battle was today, and that's how important every position in the regular season still is. Imagine if Kyle Larson doesn't miss the Coke 600. Wow. A great regular season like the 45 team had can save you from a mediocre playoffs. That's my takeaway today. A lot of missed opportunities for Joey Logano. Obviously, Richmond also stings. He had that race won coming out of turn 4, got turned by Austin Dillon, who was desperate. That potentially cost Logano 5 playoff points. That would have been the difference today. Joey Logano not earning any stage points at Talladega a week ago. What? I said it then. Huge missed opportunity. Just a few stage points would have been the difference between making or missing the round of 8. And for Tyler Reddick, his playoffs have been rough up to this point. Sure, he fired off strong with a top 10 finish at Atlanta, but since then, 4 straight finishes of 20th or worse. He's 11th today, and that was just barely good enough to squeak into the round of 8. Tyler Reddick, crew chief Billy Scott, that entire 2311 Racing team deserve a ton of credit for how they persevered today. Reddick won the opening stage. I liked the call. He was running up near the front, SVG pit, boom, free playoff point, 10 normal points. You gotta take them. When those points fall into your lap, you have to take advantage. He ended up restarting, I think, 26th at the start of stage 2 and got caught up in a huge turn 7 hairpin stack up, vaulted off his team owner Denny Hamlin's car, destroyed the right rear toe link. The team spent several minutes on pit road making repairs. Fortunately, this is a large road course. They never lost a lap. They had just enough pace to stay ahead of the leaders. Every caution period, they were working on the car, slowly but surely improving things until the end. Reddick had a top 10 car, maybe top 15. The decision to pit for fresh tires with, I think, 27 laps to go. Yeah, Billy Scott learned from Booty Barker's mistake at Darlington when Bubba Wallace didn't pit for fresh tires in the regular season finale. That cost him. Tyler Reddick, despite only being a few points behind Logano, chose to pit, gave up track position, but had fresh tires for that final run, and then Reddick got the job done. Reddick, with a damaged race car, drove from 26th to 11th in the final 26 laps. 26th to 11th. Sure, he had slightly fresher tires than everyone in front of him. I don't care. That's extraordinarily impressive. Kudos to Billy Scott for making the call, keeping things together. Kudos to the team for working on the car, overcoming adversity, and credit to Tyler Reddick. I couldn't help but think back to the Chicago street race. Fresher tires, charging through the field, closing on Alex Bowman, makes a mistake, doesn't win the race. I was worried a similar mistake was coming here today. It never did. Credit to Tyler Reddick, ran a phenomenal final stage. He gets the final transfer spot. Joey Logano, the 2-time champion, gets eliminated here in the round of 12. It's amazing how if the regular season had gone just a little bit different, if Talladega had gone just a little bit different, we'd be talking about Joey Logano, even number year, making some magic happen. Instead, Tyler Reddick hangs on in large part due to the successful regular season that team put together. That's my takeaway after the finish of this race. Joey Logano is out. Chase Briscoe was the first playoff driver to be eliminated. Mechanical issues sent the 14 car to the garage early. The Cinderella story was fun for a few weeks, but eventually Stewart-Haas Racing turned back into the pumpkins they've been all year. They won at Darlington, had those top 10s at Watkins Glen, Bristol even, but yeah, 24th, 30th, and then what were they today? 37th? That's not going to cut it. Stewart-Haas just isn't as good as Hendrick or Gibbs or Penske or even 2311 right now, nor should they be. The team's shutting down or is being severely restructured. A lot of employees have left that team. Many of those who remain already have deals for next year, are focused on that. And even Chase Briscoe, he was probably distracted today. I can't blame him. Had twins earlier in the week. Wife has been in and out of the hospital the past few days. I don't blame Briscoe for having his attention diverted elsewhere the past few days. It was going to take a miraculous performance today, and the car just wasn't good enough. Mechanical issues did them in early. Tough way to see this fun story come to an end. Daniel Suarez, haven't really mentioned him yet. He was decent today until contact with Bubba Wallace on the backstretch launched the 99 over the turtles and seemed to damage the brakes. damaged something at least. They spent time on pit road with the hood up. Suarez, another driver, entered this race 20 points below the cut line, needed a small miracle. If not for that damage, maybe he contends for a top 10, but that wouldn't have been good enough. So good year for Daniel Suarez. Win a race, make it to the round of 12, sign a 1-year extension, but an unfortunate way to see this playoff run come to an end. I want to circle back to Austin Cindric, because while Briscoe and Suarez kind of went down quietly today, Austin Cindric went down swinging. Qualified top 10, earned points in both stages, ran top 5 in stage 3, finished 4th. It just wasn't enough. But if you're an Austin Cindric fan, if you're a Team Penske fan, there's a lot to be excited about here. A lot of veteran drivers and crew chiefs will say that it takes really 3 years for a young driver to show you what they've got. Good drivers should show you something by year 3. Obviously, Austin Cindric as a rookie won the Daytona 500, but let's take that out. 2023 was a big struggle. Parts of 2024, big struggle. But when he won that race at Gateway, I know a few things had to fall into place, but he legitimately ran top 5 all day. Ever since he won that race, I think everyone's looked at Austin Cindric a little differently. He was very consistent at the end of the regular season, very consistent in the opening round of the playoffs. I don't think many fans had Cindric in the round of 12, but here he was, still keeping it interesting in the final laps of an elimination race. I think it's safe to say this year, we saw something from Austin Cindric. I don't think he's anywhere close to Joey Logano or Ryan Blaney's level just yet, but he's a little closer than we thought. Year 3 from Austin Cindric, we saw something. Hopefully this leads to another big step being taken in year 4. Obviously, Austin Cindric's father, Tim Cindric, runs the team, so I don't think his ride is ever in serious jeopardy unless the performance really declines. But my point is, I'm impressed with the performance Cindric gave today, and I think Team Penske fans should be encouraged by what they saw here these past 5 or 6 weeks, really ever since that big win at Gateway over the summer. So Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, Joey Logano, the 4 eliminations. Let's take a look at how the points reset ahead of the round of 8. I already mentioned it, but Kyle Larson plus 33, a huge gap. Then it's Christopher Bell. Once again, strong performance today. He's in second. Tyler Reddick, again, thanks to a fantastic regular season, is plus 10. Byron, does he have 3 straight top 5 finishes? Correct me if I'm wrong. He's plus 4. Ryan Blaney, the defending champion and the lone Team Penske driver remaining, is 4 points out. Hamlin minus 8, Elliott minus 9, and Bowman minus 16. Shout out Alex Bowman. I got 7 of these 8 predictions right a few weeks back. Alex Bowman was the one driver I overlooked. 6 weeks ago, I didn't see Alex Bowman making the round of 12, but they have come on strong lately. Kudos to Bowman. He's gotten here against the odds. All 4 Hendrick drivers have made it into the round of 8. This is the first time this team has ever done that. It's the 3rd time, I believe, it's been done in the 11 years of the playoffs. Joe Gibbs Racing did it in 2016 with veteran drivers Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Stuart Haas in 2018. Sort of a surprise. Harvick, Almirola, Boyer, Kurt Busch. Now add the much younger Hendrick Motorsports to the group. I mentioned this late last week, but what Hendrick Motorsports did this season, is doing this season, is extremely impressive. In the era of parity, equal equipment, anyone can win any week. The fact that Rick Hendrick has all 4 of his drivers through to the round of 8. 3 of these drivers were effectively homegrown. I mentioned it earlier in the week. Byron came up through the ranks quickly. They teamed him up with Chad Knaus early in his career. Chase Elliott was a Hendrick driver, came up through the JRM system. Alex Bowman, I said it earlier this week, I wasn't kidding. He was a start and park driver before Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Hendrick took a chance on him. Look where he is now. Really impressive stuff. Obviously, Kyle Larson, generational talent, is leading the way, but Hendrick Motorsports, very impressive accomplishment. I'm a little surprised it took 11 years to get all 4 Hendrick cars through to the round of 8, but hey, better late than ever. Look for Hendrick to make some noise here in the final 4 weeks. I want to mention Denny Hamlin because the narrative the past few weeks, few months, is that Denny Hamlin is too distracted to make a deep playoff run, too distracted to seriously pursue that first ever championship. Race team drama, lawsuit drama, FedEx might be pulling out, new race shop, new building, podcast every week. Denny Hamlin has proven these last few weeks he's capable of compartmentalizing. That's a real big word. When he puts the helmet on, he is fully focused on the task at hand. I believe it. This team has faced a lot of adversity in recent weeks. They have not been consistent, but now that they're through to the round of 8, I really like where they're positioned. Sure, he's a few points below the cut line. That's difficult. The big engine penalty from a few weeks back is going to hurt, but he's going to Las Vegas, where he led a bunch of laps, finished top 10 in the spring. Then he's going to Homestead. He's a 3-time Homestead winner. Then we're going to Martinsville. He led a bunch of laps at Martinsville in the spring. This round lines up really well for Denny Hamlin. I think last year he gets to the championship 4 if the steering doesn't break on him at Homestead. Kind of a fluky deal. I know he's a few points out, but I really like Denny Hamlin. I actually think he's more focused right now. I think there's a little less pressure on his shoulders right now. I think Denny Hamlin is dangerous these final 4 races. And Denny Hamlin is looking to join an exclusive club. Right now, there are 4 drivers who've been to the championship 4 5 times. It's Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, and Martin Truex Jr. Denny Hamlin has been to the championship race 4 times. If he gets there this year, he joins that group. He'd be the 5th driver to get to 5 championship 4 appearances. Obviously, he wants that title, but just getting to Phoenix amidst all the distractions, all the chatter, would be a huge accomplishment for Denny Hamlin, Chris Gabehart, that whole team. I think they're more than capable of it, but we'll preview the round of 8 later this week. Those are just my initial thoughts right here in the moment. Las Vegas kicks off the round of 8 next week, but let's not move off the Charlotte Roval just yet. I'll admit, I enjoyed this race more than I thought I would. Sure, Kyle Larson drove off and dominated towards the end. 3rd place was 10 seconds back. If not for the points battle, the final run would have been anticlimactic. But overall, I thought this was a very competitive race. I liked that tires made a difference. I thought the addition of turn 6 and 7, that hairpin, actually created a new passing zone. With this car, at road courses, we need as many passing zones as we can possibly get. Sure, a few guys would dive bomb, spin people out. It got a little silly here and there. I never felt like this event just devolved into pure madness. Although at one point I did see Martin Truex Jr. just ship someone down there. So if Martin Truex Jr. is dumping guys, then maybe there is a little too much tomfoolery. Point is, I didn't hate this race. I still think this car races better on the traditional Charlotte 1.5-mile oval, but I also want to see a road course in the playoffs. And if we can't move Watkins Glen back into the playoffs every single year, or if there's not another reasonable road course that could be added this time of year, then maybe the Roval is here to stay. Maybe the Roval is it. It fills a role. Let me know down in the comments below if you liked today's race, if you'd like to see the Roval remain in some capacity. What did you make of the changes to turn 7 or the front stretch chicane? That was a controversy that I actually think NASCAR attempted to explain well. So early in this race, like stage 1, we saw a half a dozen or more cutting the corner penalties. Guys had to stop on the front stretch, serve the penalty. We didn't see many of those the second half of the race. Everyone, I think, figured out where the limit was. But there was a lot of controversy in stage 1 because Bubba Wallace clearly cut the front stretch chicane, was called for a penalty, correct call, but right behind him in the same shot, it looked like William Byron committed the same violation, but NASCAR didn't make that call. Bubba was penalized, Byron was not. I and many others were confused. What's the difference? Why the discrepancy? Mike Ford of NASCAR Communications put this tweet out during the race attempting to explain the difference. I just want to share it with y'all. The 24's front and rear lefts are touching the red and white stripes. Very close, no doubt, but not a penalty. All 4 have to be in the blue for it to be a penalty. And you can see the screenshot. Yes, it looks like the rear and maybe even the front tires are just barely touching the curbs. When Bubba Wallace crossed, his 4 tires were slightly more to the inside. So the way I understand Mike Ford's explanation is that as long as at least one of your tires are touching the red and white, you're good. But if at any point all 4 of your tires are in the blue at the same time, that's a penalty. It's close, but in this screenshot, it looks like Bubba Wallace had all 4 tires barely in the blue. Okay, whereas Byron, yes, all 4 of his tires eventually cut across the blue, but he never had all 4 tires in the blue at the same time. That appears to be the discrepancy as I understand NASCAR's reasoning. So if that's true, I can't say they got this call wrong. It's just frustrating that it's not more clear, especially to the fans. I know NASCAR fans aren't used to track limits, but like we need a more clear definition in my opinion. That's the best I could share with y'all. Anyway, I don't remember where I was going with this. Yeah, course cutting penalties were controversial early on. Who's surprised? Not me. Let's put this race on the Groovy Gauge. The Groovy Gauge, as always, is powered by Electric E-Bikes. Head to electricebikes.com to learn more. I like this race. What can I say? I don't think it was amazing by any means. The points battle between Reick and Logano made the final stint far more interesting than it would have been otherwise. I'm going to go with a 70%. I think that's fair. Yes, Turn 7 was created to promote contact, but it also promoted more passing than I feel we've seen here in the past. This was a pretty good road course race, especially by modern next-gen car standards. So I'm going 70%. Let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comment section below. What would your score be? I think that about covers it. Hope you enjoyed the Bank of America Roval 400. Hope you enjoyed this episode, folks. I'll talk to you again soon. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more NASCAR content, commentary, news, race recaps, and more every single day. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters as always. I will see you again soon. Have a great rest of your weekend, folks. Thanks for tuning in.